So that's going to be the end of Chapter 3. And like I said, we're going to skip Chapter 4 and move on to Chapter 5 for anyone who's following along. In this chapter, we're going to get into some of the things that I think are really cool. This is an entire, people can spend their life studying DNA and genes and biotechnology. And basically, understanding the genetic code may help us to understand why we get diseases, why we have the behaviors that we have, why we look the way we do, act the way we do. Has this whole range of purposes. So in this chapter, we're going to talk about what DNA is and what it does. Look at gene expression. We're going to talk about mutations. We'll talk about biotechnology in agriculture. So this may be right up your alley. And describing biotechnology and its implications for human health. So what this gentleman is doing here is he's standing in front of a representation of his genetic code. So all of those bands are the genes that are found on chromosomes, and that's what it would look like if it was blown up nice and big. Each one of those little stripes is representing a gene that's found on that chromosome. So DNA has been really exciting from the very start, and as we learn more and more about it, we learn about things we can do with it. This is like one of those rah, rah, go science stories, because this gentleman was imprisoned because they thought that he had raped somebody. I believe he was a janitor at a university, and there had been a rape on campus, and the girl eventually saw him on campus and said, oh, that's the person who did this. She identified him. He was put in jail just based on eyewitness testimony. And so 18 years later, after DNA technology had become very prevalent, they went back and they tested the sample from the rape kit, and it turned out that it was not a match. It was not his semen. And so he was freed from prison after he had claimed that he was innocent, and was innocent for 18 years. When they identified the DNA in the semen, they compared it to a database, and it was somebody who was actually already in jail for raping somebody else. So at this point in time when this story came out, there were over 200 people that had been released from prison because it was found they couldn't have possibly committed the crimes that people said that they did. And this is one of the reasons why we'll talk about expert witnesses, we'll talk about eyewitnesses and how they can make mistakes, and how DNA helps us to be able to solve crimes. So what is the most common reason why DNA analyses overturn incorrect criminal convictions? It's because eyewitness testimony is so shaky. It turns out it's so hard to say this person committed a crime, and a lot of times people don't see what happened, but the DNA doesn't lie. So these were a couple of cool quotes. Selfish dictators may own their behavior partly to their genes, according to a study that claims to have found a genetic link to ruthlessness. So is it possible that the things that we do, we really have no control over them? It's all found in our genes? Or just because you have a genetic predisposition to do something, like for example, if you know someone that's an alcoholic, maybe they have genes that give them addictive personalities. We may find a whole host of things that are found in our genes. Do we use that as an excuse, or do we use it as a reason why these things happen? And then the next quote, whether a man has one type of gene versus another could help decide whether he's good husband material, a new study suggests. So what if, for all you ladies out there, you could genetically screen your husband ahead of time, and you could find out if he's ruthless, or if he's got like alcoholic predispositions, or if he could be a cheater. What if you could screen somebody ahead of time and say, oh, I'll take you because you have good genes? It's possible. It's not like men don't look at us and decide that we would be good carriers of children based on our genes, because women that have wide hips are good at bearing children. So do you pick a wife that has a nice curvy bottom part? This is going to be on YouTube, and that's embarrassing. Or why are men attracted to those certain traits that genes help women with? So what this has been called is the age of the gene. If you look at these magazine covers, there's some really fascinating articles out there right now talking about how DNA may not be your destiny, or how we might explain things. If you think about it, like 10 years ago, you never heard about autism, you never heard about Asperger's, and now we understand what autism is, so we can help to treat it better. Or somebody that has Asperger's, we might have always thought, well, they're just really like a weirdo or awkward. Now we find that there are actually genes that cause people to be the way that they are, or have the behaviors that they do. So will we eventually find genes that make us good versus evil? Are we going to find the Gandhi gene versus the Hitler gene? Then I actually read this study, and it's a fascinating study. It's about why biology may make you Republican or Democrat, and it's a fascinating article. I'll see if I can find it again. But basically, the traits that make you who you are could influence your political ideology.